The Good Samaritan. You are listening to Gargoyle FM. Today's reading is The Good Samaritan. Today's reading comes from the Gospel of Luke. Jesus tells this story after being asked an important question: who is my neighbor? At the time, many people believed their responsibility extended mainly to those within their own community. Jesus responds with a parable that challenges this way of thinking and has become one of the most famous teachings in history. The road from Jerusalem to Jericho was known for being dangerous. It wound through rocky terrain and was notorious for robberies and attacks on travelers. This setting would have immediately felt familiar to those listening to Jesus. Luke chapter 10, verses 30 through 37. And Jesus answering said, "A certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves, which stripped him of his raiment and wounded him and departed, leaving him half dead." The word raiment simply means clothing. The traveler was not only robbed of his possessions, but stripped and left helpless by the roadside. The journey from Jerusalem to Jericho covered roughly 17 miles through difficult country. Travelers often feared this road because attacks were common. And by chance, there came down a certain priest that way. And when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. And likewise, a Levite, when he was at the place, came and looked on him and passed by on the other side. A priest was a religious leader responsible for temple worship. A Levite was a member of the tribe that assisted with religious duties. Jesus intentionally chooses two respected religious figures. His listeners would likely have expected one of them to stop and help. Instead, both men continue on their journey, leaving the wounded stranger where he lay. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was. And when he saw him, he had compassion on him, and went to him, and bound up his wounds, pouring in oil and wine, and set him on his own beast, and brought him to an inn, and took care of him. This is the great surprise of the story. The Jews and Samaritans had a long history of division and mistrust. Many people listening to Jesus would not have expected a Samaritan to become the hero of the parable. Yet it is the Samaritan who stops. The oil and wine mentioned here were commonly used to clean and soothe wounds. The Samaritan not only felt compassion, but acted upon it. And on the morrow when he departed, he took out 2 pence, and gave them to the host, and said unto him, "Take care of him, and whatsoever thou spendest more, when I come again, I will repay thee." A pence was a form of money. The Samaritan willingly paid for the stranger's recovery. The word host refers to the innkeeper. Notice how far the Samaritan's kindness extends. He does not simply stop for a moment. He takes responsibility for the man's ongoing care. "Which now of these 3, thinkest thou, was neighbor unto him that fell among the thieves?" And he said, "He that showed mercy on him." Then said Jesus unto him, "Go, and do thou likewise." The word showed is an older form of the word showed. Jesus changes the question completely. Instead of asking, "Who is my neighbor?" he teaches us to ask, "How can I be a neighbor to others?" This parable remains one of the most powerful teachings ever given. The priest and the Levite both saw suffering, yet chose not to become involved. The Samaritan saw the very same situation and responded with compassion. What makes this story remarkable is not simply that someone helped. It is that help came from a person many would have considered an outsider. Jesus teaches that love is not limited by nationality, religion, social status, or personal history. Mercy reaches beyond boundaries. Many people find it easy to care for friends and family. The challenge of this parable is whether we will show the same concern for strangers, for difficult people, and for those who can offer us nothing in return. Compassion is more than a feeling. becomes real when it leads to action. The Samaritan gave his time, his effort, his resources, and his comfort to help another human being. The final words of Jesus are simple, yet demanding. Go and do likewise. Today, consider where opportunities for kindness may exist in your own life. Perhaps someone needs encouragement. Perhaps someone feels overlooked or alone. The Good Samaritan reminds us that small acts of mercy can have a lasting impact. May we learn not only to see those in need, but to respond with compassion when the moment arrives. You have been listening to Gargoyle FM.